Hallo? Hallo? Good. Hello, everybody here in the office and on stream. For the in the office, we have here seats in the front available. You see better the slides and the code. You get a Flaschenöffner.
Bottle opener.
Bottle opener is also here. Uh, that don't have in the back. Um, good. Do I Good. Yeah. Welcome to this our May 2024 .NET event, .NET Community Austria event. Yeah, happened again at the end of May. As usual, organized by .NET Devs AT. We are a non-profit organization for about sharing knowledge in the .NET space. We are everywhere and on Twitter. It's not X. Yeah. Thank you all for joining today. Once again, I have multiple hats today now. We need caps. We need real caps. So now I'm the chairman of .NET Devs AT, and now I'm an employee of TechTalk, the host of tonight here. Yeah, thanks to our company. So it's also Raoul and David from our speakers, and we work here. And yeah, TechTalk always supports us with hosting these events. As usual, as every other developer company in Vienna, we are looking for people. You find information everywhere, and that was it. By the way, I'm working now the third time for this company. Long story, but yeah, always coming back. And yeah, I also want to thank our other sponsors, Tieto, Avery, and Rubicon, for financial support, that we have all the equipment here for streaming, and so also JetBrains, they support us over the last years with a license, a 12 months product license that we raffle. To do that, you simply need to type JetBrains in the chat. The raffle is already running, so I'm prepared this time. If here in the audience, the easiest one to take part in, also quickly join on YouTube or Twitch and enter JetBrains in the chat. And quick, some short community news, events in the future. The Coda Jojo Wien is again in June 7th and 21st. And that was it. Quickly, next meetups. Not yet 100% sure, but I still put it on the slides. Next meetup will be hopefully on June 27th, this time a Thursday. Topic will be hopefully tips and tricks for the Visual Studio Debugger by Jiri. And I don't continue with the name because I don't want to make somebody angry. And hopefully we will be at Sentry. July, August is yet still to be defined what we do. And with that, I'm happy to hand over the mic and stop talking and give to Raoul and David.
Thank you. Thank you, Andy. So let's switch the slides. And present F5. So hello to our talk, Getting Fat Again with WinUI 3. We ordered 21 pizzas. We are 22 people, so everyone gets a pizza and is fat again. Thank you for the talk. Welcome. No. So we have a short story. We want to tell you about our way, why we got back to a fat client, so full GUI framework and not a web framework. My name is Raoul Holzer, and
I'm David Eiwen.
Yeah, we have already the slide. I'm software architect at TechTalk since 15 years. Since 13 years or something. I was a lecturer at Technikum Wien. I'm one of the co-organizers with Andy and Stefan here. And when you reach me, you can, here's my Twitter handle or X handle now.
Yeah, I'm David Eiwen. I'm working here at TechTalk for about 7 years. Yes, and I'm a software developer here, and I focus mainly on .NET since I've been a teenager, and so I've worked with like multiple front-end frameworks or frameworks in general.
Great, thank you. So it's our short story why we choose WinUI for our current project. We had a UVP app. It was a Microsoft project, a very big customer. And the goal was to make it touch-friendly because they visit a lot of companies and they think with Microsoft they need a touch-friendly tablet solution, and that's why they choose first Win 8 apps in the past, or the modern apps later, and then we migrated years after to UVB. That's also two important points. We have many suppliers that also need this app. And because of this technology, we are in the Microsoft Store, and for our suppliers, but we also have a very strict enterprise policies. We can use the Microsoft Store for our employees, for the customer employees. So we have to deploy it with the PowerShell scripts in the enterprise environment. And the other big point, we don't talk today, maybe next talk, we have offline support for the whole data they need. So that's because the company, our customer visit, also sometimes in the mountains or sometimes in areas in Austria where they don't have internet access. Currently, there are some points in Austria where we don't have internet access. So they need all data offline, and we have offline support. And that's things we don't want to lose. We don't want to rewrite in the first step. So then was the hard topic. The customer wants new features, want new controls, want drag and drop in lists, and that's not supported in UVP or in this Windows LTSC, what our customer has, because I say you later, UVP is bound to the operating system. So all controls and all libraries, UWP use are always with the Windows version. And then we have the opportunity, because our customer want a new and faster offline sync, because 15 minutes loading database was too slow. We have now the opportunity to rewrite the whole application. And this was also a reason why we choose a new framework, WinUI. And then we have also the team. So all developers in our team don't have much web experience. They never wrote much CSS, HTML, or something else. So that was the main point why we decided to reuse XAML files. And we have all our UI in XAML files so that we looked at we can reuse it. That's why we choose it. That's our whole story. And now we want to tell you what is WinUI, because many developers people don't know what's WinUI. Short history. Windows has a lot of UI frameworks. So the Windows UI had a lot of changes. We know the Windows Presentation Foundation framework was introduced 2006 with .NET 3. And we have the Universal Windows Platform was introduced 2015 with Windows 10. And we have a lot of other stuff. Make a long history, and I skipped some slides because it was too long, but this was the main points. And this one also the two other frameworks we couldn't choose. But I'll tell you later. So UWP or UWP or WinUI 1. So to skip this name was very technically bound. So we have the UWP and all the XAML controls and the XAML UI framework was in the sandbox on the operating system and delivered with the operating system, as I told you. Then they introduced WinUI 2. They took the XAML controls and put it in a NuGet package with Microsoft UI XAML. And so they tried to deliver new controls, not with the operating system, but with NuGet packages. But but they only took the example controls, and this was only for UWP and not for WPF or Windows Forms, for example. And now, what's WinUI 3? Technically, they took also the example UI framework, so you can use all the framework UI stuff in not with the operating system bound, so you can also use it in different ways. I'll show you a little bit later. And so now we have not the UWP app, we have WinUI in the UWP app, or later they renamed it in App SDK framework. So, and that's lead us to other thing or Microsoft could do. We now could use WinUI 3 libraries, not only in the WinUI UWP or WinUI desktop. So we could use it also with the example island tool framework, PF, and WinForms framework. But now we have one control set over all UI technologies at Microsoft. Yeah. So what is WinUI now? It's a native UI platform component shipped with the WinApp SDK framework. It's now the whole name for all UI APIs at Windows, but they decoupled from the operating system versions. That you can have new controls, modern frameworks, and you don't have to update your Windows version. So key features, as I said, we have unified APIs over all platforms, modern UI patterns for touchable, drag and drop, everything else, and managed and native apps. WinUI isn't only running with .NET, it's also running, we could also develop with native C++ apps. So, and all this is in the WinApp SDK framework, previously known as the Project Reunion. So the Reunion, the WPF world, and Win 3.2 world with the UWP modern app world. We have now one API set for all our UIs. Yeah, and can also, as I said, can also use in WPF and WinForms. So the all APIs we use in the WPF, in the UWP apps. Just so many shorts. So we use in the modern apps like notifications, like the store deployment, like the whole how we communicate with the Windows framework, or in the sandbox with the store. We can now use also in the WPF and WinForms world. With the WinApp SDK framework, how we does this? With a NuGet package, we can add to all these projects. And it's a screenshot from the version 1. Now we're in version 1.5, but it's just a NuGet package we can install to all our Windows applications. So just a comparison. Let's skip this. So why we choose WinUI? Because we have C#, and we have a lot of new components and UI stacks. So, and why we don't choose MAUI? Because MAUI is the new stuff. Because we only have a Windows application under here. Sorry? Previous? No. Yeah, it's WPF is primarily used in the app, very spreadly used in the Windows world, but yeah. Now this slide is 3 weeks old, so now with the new Microsoft Build announcement, I wouldn't say, because they also invest in WPF, like in WinUI 3. But yeah. So back to the previous slide. Why we choose MAUI? Because last 2 years we only heard of MAUI at the Microsoft world. It's because we don't have the business requirements that we support other platforms like Mac Catalyst, iOS, or Android. We only run on Windows, and MAUI compiles to WinUI at the end. So we don't have this overhead of the MAUI components, and we choose only the WinUI platform. And there are other frameworks. Uno, why we choose Uno? Because the same reason. We are on the Windows stack, and Uno compiles also in the WinUI to the WinUI framework for the controls. So that was also wouldn't be more overhead. We don't know and don't know why we need it. It would be very cool when we have the budget for this. But because we are only in the Windows stack, we don't need it. But with Maui, we couldn't. With Uno, we couldn't get web support with XAML code or Mac or Android support as like Maui. So, how are we getting started with WinUI? So we need the tooling, but and Visual Studio will show you David in just moments. But there is some good starting points and helper points to get in touch and know the whole WinUI framework and the controls. And I have to switch. The first is the WinUI gallery. And that's one reason why you should search once in the store, Microsoft Store, or search with WinGet. That's the ultimate starting point for WinUI. You have all the informations what you need, and all the other things which I showed you, I will show you, but also your template all controls, and that's the one of the main points. I don't put on slides. WinUI 3 has so much more controls than WVPF, and it's just we have a pull to refresh example, for example. So yeah, I think no, it's not my PC, and you don't have touch. So like you know it when you're on the end, you would reload that example, or flyouts you don't have in WVPF. You have a lot of more UI controls, relative panel, split view, view box. You have navigation controls you don't have in WPF. And that's where the main reason why we choose WinUI 3. I hope it's the black screen a little bit helpful. But it's not the only thing, only app you can start. The other is the Windows Community Toolkit. So in the WinUI 3 gallery, you have only the Microsoft Office supported controls. But in the Windows Community Toolkit, you have the community controls. There are also, as you see, a lot of tools and very nice things we use in our app, like you have developer tools, like where is it? Focus tracker. You can track where's the focus of of your users in your app, what they click, very easily integrated and nice. And that's also a very good app when you start with WinUI 3, that you get all the tools you need and help. And also we use the Windows Community Toolkit MVVM for development, but it's not bound to WinUI.
Question from the chat. Does it have good support for grid and calendar controls?
Grid and calendar controls? I don't know. We don't have it currently. I think so.
At least the calendar is integrated.
So we have a calendar time picker, calendar view, date picker, time picker. There's some controls. I don't know if it's good, but it's the same we used in UVP, in the UVP app. That's we don't have a transition. But yeah, there are some controls for calendar view, date picker, time picker. It's the same, and these are the same controls they are used for the Windows UI. So in Windows, every new screen is made with WinUI 3, like the settings app, the new settings app, and so on. And it's the same calendar view you have in the right bottom in Windows 11. So, and did I miss something? Yeah. Template studio, yeah. And so I hope the link is working. There's also the toolkit labs.dev, and it's a Uno app. And there are the new controls sometimes. They are not currently supported in Windows, but they are supported in UNO because UNO is faster with supporting WinUI 3 than the Windows components. And there you can look what will coming to the Windows community toolkit in the future. So like the canvas view, Smart with Labs, or the canvas layout. And it's also a good page when you want to try new things. And the people which know me knows I'm always use the beta versions of everything, also in my apps with some controls. So hopefully they were released before my app is released. Yeah. So back to the slides. And yeah, with the demo, I showed you. So how we installed in Windows in the current Visual Studio 2022 versions 17.10, you have to search for it, and it's very hidden. You have to click this individual components and Windows App SDK templates. Then you get the App SDK in your Visual Studio. But last week was the Microsoft build, and they said WinUI 3 is our now supported, and we make it more popular. There's now our own workload. Thank you. In Visual Studio, and you have only to like other workload in Visual Studio. It's in the front page, and you can install everything. The tooling for Visual Studio, and also the new all the templates, which David showed you a little bit later, you find in now more popular in when you install the WinUI workload. And yeah, some system requirements for working. You should use Windows 10 with version 18.09. So very old Windows version. I think it's out of support. Visual Studio 2019, but then you have to install everything beside. With the new versions, you get support. You have to install, when you install it manually, Win SDK version 2004. Yeah, when you want to use .NET apps, you need at least .NET 6, and you must enable your device for development. In the settings, that you can run the WinUIs. So, yeah. 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 So you could also develop WinUI with C++. Then you don't need .NET. When you want to work with .NET, or then you need installed at least .NET 6.
Okay, so for C#, I need .NET 6. If I use native like C++, I don't need .NET 6. Okay.
And yeah, so when we develop WinUI with .NET, I could over it. Then we have two modes how we can run this app. The one mode is the package. It's like the old UWP way, where we are in a sandbox and have a package identity. It's like the old store apps, and you have limited access to the file system, and yeah, the store way, we would say. And when we talk about unpackaged, you have to install it to run the app, the Win App SDK framework, or deliver with your app. And then you have no package identity, and it's just an exe file like other WPF or like each other .NET app. Yeah, typically copied with copy and paste or old installers, and the package app is the way when you use it in MSIX or with when you deploy it over the Windows Store. Then I would prefer the packaged over the unpackaged. So and yeah, as the Win 8 app or the modern app framework comes, Microsoft tried to make a new design guardians with the Metro design, modern design afterwards. There's also a design guidance for WinUI 3 apps, and you find in this, I want to also show you in the WinUI gallery all information about this guidance, which colors you use, which icons are delivered with the WinUI framework, how you best practice for spacing, typography, and accessibility is supported in the WinUI 3. I'm not a designer, so I skip this part, but there's also a lot of information to write very beautiful and good native Windows apps if you need it. And now I hand over to David, who will show you the code.
Yes, so because Raoul mentioned it, I will at first start on how we can create an WinUI app. So I simply add a new project, in this case to the solution, because I've prepared a solution. And here we can select the project type. I've installed the templates, so here at the bottom is I can filter for WinUI apps. And as you can see, there are some templates that are delivered in this package. So what we now want is for our app, we would start with a packaged app. Let's press next. Yeah, we just need to name it app 1 for now. And there we have it. This is how an app, if you use this template, looks per default. You have the app XAML and the main window. Yes, and some assets and the launch settings, as well as the publish profiles. So, okay. Then how can an app look? We have added here a simple main window. It looks like maybe if you have developed WPF before, looks very familiar, except the expanded. This comes from UWP, and is a more efficient way of data binding. So then, okay, then I've prepared this app so we can build it and we can also launch it. And as you can see, there are some package references added, like the MVVM Community Toolkit package, some WinUI specific packages, and the Windows App SDK package. So. Build started. So taking its time. Okay. Maybe until this has finished building, I will continue with the presentation. Or if there are any questions, okay, I will just continue. So, as Raoul mentioned before, we had the situation that we were building a new app, but we had a pre-existing UWP app. And so we wanted to migrate. We wanted to migrate at least most of the UI stuff. There are two possibilities. Most simple one is you just take it, and the most straightforward is you just take it and copy the front-end files, XAML files over to the new project. But there is also the migration assistant, the .NET Upgrade Assistant, which easily enables migrating to the new WinUI framework. So, okay, then I will show you how you can do this. First, you just here we have a UWP app. I will, for simplicity, just do the main window and just copy this this grid over to this prepared WinUI app. Then we have the main window, and I just insert it here. I just copy pasted the whole grid. As expected, it doesn't find the bindings, but that's not for us. It's not interesting for the moment. We can now, if it ever stops building, we just cancel the build. So now set this as a startup project. So it's maybe should be faster. Okay, yeah, logical. I didn't delete the code behind, so. Deploy started. So I'm now running just in packaged mode, so it has to deploy the whole app package to the system. So sadly it's not zoomed in. There is just a hello world, and we have a text box. Yeah, it's just copied over. So it's that simple. And now I want to show you the migration assistant. It's a Visual Studio extension. It's this one, the .NET Upgrade Assistant. You can now go right click on your UWP app, and there is a point upgrade. Let's do this. So then we have the choice to just upgrade project features, but we want to upgrade to a newer .NET version. Then we can choose whether we do it in the same project or we create a new project for the new app, so we can have them side by side. Maybe practical if you need to compare it. But I want to do it in place now for the demonstration. We choose the .NET LTS version, and we want to upgrade everything. So you can see under the dependencies, we have our NuGet package dependencies, and assets and properties are just the files. So now I will upgrade it. It will take some time. And close and open the project, unload it and reload it. Yes. Always a bad feeling when the timer goes up instead of down, but it's just elapsed time. Yeah, as we can see here, there is already a warning, because this is a UWP specific package. So if we can see here in the packages, this package is not referenced anymore because it's not supported in .NET 8. So sadly, today, as I tested again, I had some problems with this because if we now build this app, it will complain about the runtime identifier. This is not compatible with .NET 8 anymore, and I have just to copy this one over from. That's just the tool isn't on the most current state currently. So I just have to. These runtimes identifier with Win10, x86, and so on. They are only supported until .NET 6 or 7, I think. So there's just a workaround for the templates, for the WinUI templates. They inserted a condition, so we just use the Win x86 if we are .NET 8 or higher. So, and now let's try. It might complain about the other UWP package. Yes. So let's remove it. Now try to start it. There is again an error. Yeah, as you may be able to see, this tool isn't perfect at the moment, but it gives you a starting point. It sets you up so you can develop. It's just migrating, but if we look at the main page, it's just migrated, it's copied. Even the bindings are working because also our converter and our view model are copied and adapted to WinUI. So now maybe we can get a better error message than this. System drawing common, while I hadn't referenced it. But okay, maybe. Okay. Yeah, I had some trouble with it today. It worked when I prepared this initially just fine, but yeah. So then, yeah, maybe let's continue. I have, as mentioned in the description of this talk, we also used rx.net for our for the new app, because we wanted to introduce some modern reactive programming concepts into our code, which would make it more easily readable and enable a better code flow, a better flow of information. So yeah, what is rx.net? If you've never heard it, maybe you have heard about other Rx implementations. It's called the Reactive extensions for .NET. It was the initial implementation of Rx, so Microsoft developed back in I think 2011 for one of their products, and yeah, it's now open source and in the .NET Foundation. It's building upon existing patterns in the framework. So maybe you've stumbled upon the IObservable and the IObserver interface. They exist in .NET, and rx.net utilizes them for their model of event-driven development. And that's the point. It improves the event-driven development compared to the integrated events. So if you have events in .NET, you can fire them and you can subscribe even more subscribers to an event. Yeah, that's all fine and good, but it brings some limitations. For example, you can't simply communicate when the event source is done sending events. So then, yeah, because I said you maybe heard of another Rx implementation, you may have heard RxJS if you are in the front, if you have developed in front end. I think it's the most well known, and it shares many similarities with rx.net. So it's so I want to show you that it's also not limited to just front-end development, because we may know it from RxJS, but you can also use it for many other stuff in the backend, like if you use SignalR or WebSockets, it might prove useful there. So yeah, I will just skim over the core concepts a little bit. You have observables in event-driven development. They can fire events in a sequence, and in our case in .NET, they implement the IObservable interface because that's already delivered with .NET, so it can integrate into other frameworks. Then we have the observers, which can we can receive the fired events and process them, or transform them, as we may see. And it implements the iObserver interface. Yes, and the most common observables you will see are subject and behavior subject. Subject means it can, if you create it, it doesn't have an initial value and it doesn't store its value. You can fire values, like it's in some ways similar to a .NET event in this case. It's a difference to the behavior subject. It has an initial value, so it's guaranteed to have always a value, and you use it if you want to reliably always have data. For example, that you want to communicate. That's something that, and in addition, if someone subscribes to its behavior subject, it also receives the current value that's stored in it. Then we have the operators. They are in itself observers. They observe an other observable, and with a link-like syntax in .NET, they transform them, or filter them, or aggregate them, or any other thing you can do with link. And they themselves can also be observed by another observable, by another observer. And yeah, that's I think one of the biggest benefits. Event sequences can be completed. That's something that's not that possible in .NET. It's always on the in the native .NET events. It's always you unsubscribe if you don't want to listen to the event anymore. Instead, here you can say, I'm done sending data. You can now quit listening. The implementation is by using an iDisposable, so you just can use the language features of C#. If you are finished with an observable, you just dispose it, and it automatically unsubscribes all its subscribers. So it enables a controlled shutdown in comparison to events. Yep. I've prepared a little demo, which I have stored here. Close all tabs. It's just a little console app, but it doesn't look that nice of a code, because you see that there's a try catch, and I use a cancellation token source for a task delay. The goal of this program was just to create a ticking clock, like each other second it writes on the console tick and tock. And this works, but as I can show you, so wrong button. Oh, sorry. Yeah, thank you. So now it's set. We just started, and if we're finished, we press enter to quit it. It just writes tick tock like a clock, and if you now press enter, yeah, what happens? It throws an exception because I use a cancellation token source to communicate the cancellation. So, which gets caught by the catch statement, but it's not the most beautiful program, I would argue. I have prepared maybe a little bit more beautiful alternative using subjects and observables. So the basic premise is the same. We press enter to quit the program, but as we see here, we subscribe to the clock generator on the clock tick observable. So we just receive if a tick happens and how many seconds have passed since we started. And we process instead of the clock generator. And how does the clock generator look? So we have two subjects, which is important, and it itself is disposable. This is because we have disposables stored in it, namely the subjects. And this is disposed subject. If you have developed RxJS, you might know it as something like destroy or something like that. That's maybe the most common name for it in RxJS. You always have to, if you subscribe to some observable, you have to know when you want to stop. If for example, your page gets loaded, but your service still fires events. You want to controlably say the service, you don't need to send me any events anymore. So for this, we have the take until method. We commonly use it for that, use an is disposed subject for that. This is fired when you use the dispose method. So if you leave a using block or if you call it manually, this will fire an event. It will just say, yes, we are disposed. And for the sake of this example, I just needed something to cancel the observable generator. So I have here a variable too. And there we have the second subject. It's the clock tick observable. This will fire each time we have a new tick. And at the end of this program, at the end of this method, we just wait until we dispose. So as we see, there is no cancellation token, and there will not be thrown any exceptions this time. So, and now I press enter. And because I've programmed it that way, we have to press the second time enter. Now we close the program in a controlled manner. So yeah, and now I would just continue with the presentation. Yeah, how did we use it in WinUI? There are some. It has some advantages, especially if you can combine it with patterns like MVC or MVVM. But we had an impediment in this case because we just can't simply say from our XAML frontend, we can't just simply bind to an observable as we can, like in Angular. We had our solution. We have a translation layer, so to say, that sits in the view model, and this means the view model subscribes to the events and passes it to properties where the view model has to implement an iNotify property changed interface, and this way it gets communicated to the front end. Yeah. We can actually, yeah.
I haven't done much desktop programming for a long time, but I remember there was also an observable collection. How do you handle this with reactive extensions?
Basically, not any different to any property in this case, because the observable collection is our interface to the UI, but we have to manually fill it. So if we get like new items, or if we say we update the complete collection, we get this information communicated via rx.net to our backend, from our backend to the view model, and the view model then translates it to the observable collection and says you have to remove this item and this item and this. And if you have subscribed from XAML to this observable collection, you will automatically get this in the front end.
Okay, so there are always two ways. No, one-way binding, two-way binding.
Yep.
And in the other side, when you load some data from the backend, how do you synchronize it with the collection, or do you just replace the collection with a new translation layer?
So what we did, or what we would do, is like make it a little more in the direction of reactive development with a command maybe in the background. You say you change the state, you have a command to change the state, and the UI only reads the new state.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So I think we may be able to try this. We have just in this example so I just started quickly to show what happens. It's pretty simple. You just press a button and something happens. So it's pretty small, but I pressed the do something button and I did something. And this is something we can implement in rx.net in this case. If I just stop it and go to the view model, since we don't have any services or complex infrastructure behind, I'll just implement it here. I will just add our subject, install the package, and use our bool, and say, call it did something. There we have it's already suggested it. So new subject. If now we do something, instead of, in this case, we normally would do it in a service or on in another program. We now say did something, subject punct next, on next, and we just say true. And this isn't everything, because we just did the backend part basically now in the view model. But what we now have to do is, if something or did something subject happens, we want to know it. So what we want to do is to subscribe. And now we want to set our property. So I say value. And now we set the property. It's like value. It's equals value. There. iObserver. There's maybe something missing. Should be as easy as that, but there's only the server. Let's copy it from what we already have. Yeah. Yes. System reactive link. Thank you. No, it's not it. System reactive, and we have system reactive. Now we have the overloads. Strange. Now there we have the overloads, and we can just say specify an action. Then something equals value. And now just to prove it, we just we don't delete it. We have a private set, so we can only set it in this class. That is something that we would prefer. We prefer to do in this case because we don't want to set it. Maybe you don't want to set it from some other way, because it's just translating from subject. So now let's see what happens. There we have it. Press it, and we did something again. So, then, yeah, that was the demo. So, now I think I will need Raoul again.
Thank you, David. So, thank you. So, thank you for the demo. So, some conclusion, what we learned and what we with our project. It's very easy to migrate that UWP app or UWP app to WinUI. It was just copy and paste. And we did copy and paste our XAML code. Why? Because we have a lot of third-party controls that are not supported with WinUI 3, because the third-party companies doesn't support WinUI very well. But WinUI have so many different controls that we don't need this third party anymore. Then package versus unpackage is not very easy. Each developer PC works different with unpackaged package. My PC works better with package. Other developers have problem with package during debugging. And also deployment is not very easy, and it's hard because the auto update from the store world or the AppX installer, who knows it, have some security issues, and so the enterprise blocked it, and so we have to find new ways to deploy or update our app in the enterprise environment with the package, a store app. We deploy with the store, and it's the same way. That's why our lesson learned, but we need for one UI, we need a day to copy this. We add rx.net that we get more reactive, more fast loading, easy loading, and more beautiful loading in this stuff. So we're very happy to migrate with the WinUI and don't rewrite everything to a different framework. So that's our lesson learned. And some useful builds last week. So we got first-class tooling in Visual Studio. So Microsoft said it's WinUI 3, it's the controls you need. They announced a new control, the tile bar. It comes with 1.6 experimental. You can use it now, but with 1.6 App SDK, there are some new controls. So there was some GitHub issues. Microsoft, please say WinUI 3 is dead. You don't have a roadmap. You don't have new controls. Microsoft delivered the new controls with the build, so we're happy that we are not on the wrong way. And we also get ahead of time compilation for the WinUI in the next release. So Microsoft is working. That's the message with this slide. So we don't have third-party support, but Microsoft is supporting it again and make it more popular in Visual Studio on the pages, and we get new controls. So with this, thank you. And any questions? Yes?
So somewhere on the first slide, it's mentioned that canvas is still not there. What about custom painting controls then? Does it have like some canvas element direct to custom paint, basically component?
I think it's supported. I don't know.
It probably,
Yeah,
I would guess so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe look at the WinUI gallery app, and there is the canvas control. I think you have also the possibility to write your own controls, and with
Yeah, that's.
So there's the canvas control,
Yeah, it's there.
and it's also possible to write own controls when you
Mm.
need it with the underlining libraries and frameworks.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank
Cool.
you. Other questions?
Do you write tests for the view models?
Or if you write tests for the view models, yes, we write tests for the view models. You mean with the RX.NET or what?
Generally, is it easy to write tests? Because your views look really slim. It's
Yeah.
kind of good, like plain old simple
Yeah.
objects. So
No, we write tests. It was a little bit hard to write tests because in the last version of Visual Studio, it wasn't very well supported to write tests for the SDK framework. But with the last update, maybe you see it on David's as David created the project. There's just now our own test project for WinUI and for the view models. So we don't split up our view models with the UI layer. We don't separate it in our own project. But we tested. But our view models are very stupid. We just make the call to the service layer, maybe to the models, and just test it if the UI is updated. It's not very.
I ask because in the old days with WPF, you could write tests, but you never knew how the UI would behave.
Yeah.
For example, if you have a combo box and you change the item source and what happens with the selected item, and the UI does some tricks,
Yeah.
but you have really to care about what it does because the test can fool you because you don't have the UI.
That's why we in the old project we split it in two projects. In the view model project, we test the view models because UVP was very hard to test. Now with WinUI 3, we have the first issue that we can't test it very well, but now we have invest a lot that we can get it running on each developer PC. But with the new template, it was an easy migration, and the new template in my beta version is, I think, 4 months old. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering why Microsoft is supporting so many frameworks. So UWP is legacy, right? It's not supported anymore.
Yes.
But what I mentioned before is that WPF is still maintenance, no? And updated. So why is this happening? Why is Microsoft not focusing on one framework plus the mobile framework, MAUI?
I don't have the answer. So, and maybe they told it in the build talks, which I was only screening for news about WinUI. I can't say it, but I think the new controls, the new stuff coming to WinUI 3. I think the only new control they announced in WPF was the new file picker, and it was a community project because the file picker in WPF I think is 25 years old. It looks like 25 years old. I don't know what's the plan with WPF. Yeah, it's a good question. Microsoft, maybe they answered it at the build. They have 2 UI sessions at the build, and I was just viewing it in double time that I get the news I can present you today. So I don't listen exactly to the other side talks. So yeah, but when you have very native control features that look good, then I would prefer WinUI. When you have very enterprise stuff, you can stick to WPF. I think that's the reason WPF, so many apps and so many enterprise apps are written in it. And WinUI, I think they need it for their own UI in Windows 11. But there are more frameworks, but I don't. Don't know what's the plan. Maybe the MVPs know more stuff, but we can talk at the beer. Other questions?
So it will be like if I want to go Windows Store, maybe go Windows UI route. If I want to do some enterprise app, WPF, or even better, maybe it's some third party
Yeah,
thing like Avalonia is popular nowadays, I guess.
that's
Okay.
what we do. We have, I think we have 3 GUI frameworks in our whole system project currently working on, and the admin client is WPF, and the store clients are now WinUI or UWP. So yeah,
Okay.
the modern app framework.
Okay.
Do you maybe know regarding compatibility to MAUI? Like,
Yeah.
if can I switch back and forth between MAUI and WinUI, or?
I don't know if it's switching. So MAUI should compile in WinUI, but I don't know if they have the same problems like in the Xamarin world, where the controllers have different names. I don't know. So we don't start with MAUI because it's what our overhead. We don't have budget for it, and the decision was we only need Windows. We start with WinUI, but I hope if the customer wants that we go to the other worlds, that we can migrate it. We don't try it. It was, yeah. Martin? Need more mics.
On that note, we had some interesting experiences with old apps that we had to like port from deprecated system to deprecated system. And I think there were some that were actually ported to Xamarin, which would now be migrated to MAUI, which is effort, but not too much. And the benefit is, well, we get WinUI now. So it's like, yeah, if you maintain these abstractions, it's like, I don't have to really care about the Windows specific stuff. So, you know, it has some up and down sides.
Yeah.
So I think in the long run, that's my personal view on things. I think that using MAUI now might be a more stable approach to whatever the Windows teams come up with over the next year. So that's my personal opinion. But yeah, it worked out for us. We can probably do a UWP migration to WinUI by just moving from Xamarin to MAUI, which is kind of easy in that specific situation. There are apps where we actually are really battling with that.
Yeah. Other questions? So, hit the World Wide Web? No, so then thank you. I hope you learned something about WinUI and why we get fat again. And hopefully the pizza is arriving, so we get really fat. And so, and we'll wait on Andy. So,
Can I get my slides back?
I go back. I go back.
Good. I'm back, and thank you, Raoul and David, for the talk. And as every you finally get one, Raoul. So as every speaker at the .NET events, you get our custom coaster. So yeah, custom coaster with our logo and a complete set of our stickers. So I only have one hand free. So thank you. As a small gift. Yeah, thank you all for joining. Stickers and yeah, our logo stickers with different colors and other stickers are at the table at the back. Sorry, stream, you don't get anything here. But also thanks for joining. Yeah, thanks again to our sponsors, Tieto, Avery, and Rubicon, and JetBrains for the raffle. And I will do you. If somebody quickly want to join, you have now the chance. I only have 2 entries here, so 50-50 chance. Oh, we'll wait a little bit that the stream catches on. We need waiting music for the next time. So nothing is happening. So, and the winner is 444. I would like to know the name behind that nickname or not. Yeah, please contact us at the email address there, and I will send you in the next days the raffle. We have a public holiday on Thursday, so it will be probably next week when you get the code. And with that, before I let you go and to the pizza, we always want to improve these events, and for that we would need your feedback. Quick survey is here with a very big QR code and a link in the chat for the stream. Would be cool if you fill it out. Helps us a lot to improve the event. And with that, have a nice evening. Have a nice rest of your day. See you next time, hopefully end of June. Bye. Yay.